Aminiti namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaga. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandegam Sri Guru Shiyuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaye Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Isvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Hare Krishna. By the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, we are nicely studying Bhagavad Gita every day. Of course, 6 days a week. So, we are in the 13th chapter now. We finished 2 slokas yesterday. We are studying 1 sloka every day. So, for those who are joining for the first time, I will be, during the lecture, actually, I will be connecting with all the slokas from all the chapters, so you won't miss anything. So, in this Bhagavad Gita, which is a song of God, so Arjuna has asked excellent questions to Krishna. So, these questions asked by Arjuna, they are so nice that Krishna has answered everything so extensively, very clearly, that we will not have any more questions to ask. If we understand this Bhagavad Gita fully, completely, so that means there are no more questions for us to ask, because everything is very clear in this Bhagavad Gita. So that way, we can say that, we can declare that Bhagavad Gita answers all the questions about our existence. So, about who am I? What should I do? What is the goal of life? So, everything about our life, this Bhagavad Gita answers all the questions. And once we understand the answers for all these questions, then only we will be able to lead a meaningful life. Meaningful life, that means purposeful life, that means blissful life. So, we will be able to lead a happy life. The happiness comes. So, if we understand this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. Otherwise, we really don't know what is the meaning of happiness. In this material world, we think that when we enjoy the sense objects, we are happy. That's what we are thinking. But the problem is, actually, we are not happy while enjoying the material sense objects. The problem is because it just immediately comes to an end. And it brings more miseries also. So the real happiness Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita, that our mind should not be disturbed at any point of time. So that's what meant by happiness. The definition for happiness is that the mind should be very, very stable. The mind should not be disturbed. So when we enjoy the material sense objects, does that mean that our mind is satisfied, our mind is not disturbed? No, that is just our contact, this material senses in contact with material sense objects. So we are getting that happiness. So there we cannot say that because of that our mind is satisfied. So our mind has to be satisfied. That's what is very important. Mind can be satisfied only if mind is not disturbed all the time. That's what is very important. Mind is peaceful all the time. So then that means we are very happy. So that's what Mano Tustaha. Mano Tustaha means we need to find that enjoyment within our Atmanyevat Mano Tustaha. Atmanyevat. So within our Atma, within our soul, within our self. So that's what Vindati Atmani Yat Sukham. So Atmanyevat Manotustaka means we should find happiness within ourselves. So that's what Vindati Atmani Yat Sukham means we should enjoy that happiness within ourselves. So that kind of happiness we can enjoy unlimitedly. It will not come to an end. Sukham akshayam asnute. We can enjoy unlimited, we can experience unlimited happiness. So that kind of unlimited happiness we can enjoy only if we have the Bhagavad Gita knowledge. Because our mind can be peaceful only if we have the Bhagavad Gita knowledge. If we don't have the Bhagavad Gita knowledge, so that means we have only material knowledge. Only we have knowledge about this material world. We have only knowledge about this matter. So when we are going after material sense objects, so our mind will not be peaceful. Our mind will be very restless. Because the properties of mind, Arjuna even telling Krishna in the 6th chapter, Arjuna in the sloka number 34, in the 6th chapter, Arjuna is very clearly, he is telling Krishna that he is listing the properties of mind. Chanchalam. Chanchalam ki mana Krishna. Pramadi. Balavad. Dhritam. So Chanchalam ki mana Krishna. Pramadi. Balavad. Dhritam. That's what is the properties of mind. So it's restless. Chanchalam. It's pramati. It's agitating. Restless. Turbulent. Pramati. Turbulent. Balam. It's very strong. Mind is very strong. And dhritam. Dhritam means it's very determined. It's very obstinate. So mind is obstinate. So that's what Chanchalam ki mana Krishna pramadi balavad dhritam. So mind is restless, turbulent, very strong and obstinate. So that's what Chanchalam ki mana Krishna pramadi balavad dhritam. Tasya aham nigraham manye. So when I think about controlling that mind, tasya aham nigraham manye. Vayoriva suduskaram. I think it's very manya, I think it is Vayoriva suduskaram. It's very difficult than controlling the wind. So Vayoriva suduskaram. So duskaram difficult, suduskaram very difficult. So Vayoriva suduskaram. I can even control a hurricane which is blowing very fast, the hurricane. So I can even go and stop the hurricane, but I cannot control my mind. That's what Arjuna is telling Krishna in the battlefield. It's a very important science here. We know that how mind is restless. The mind is not staying at one place. The speed of mind is very, very fast. It's faster than anything. We can come up with high speed, lot of things, high speed, supersonic, hypersonic, all those things. But even the speed of light is also very, very fast. So that's what we know, the speed of light. But the mind is much faster than even the light. You think about something, someplace, something, immediately you will be there. Just immediately the mind goes there. And mind goes here, there, everywhere. It keeps on going. It doesn't stay in one place. It's flickering. It's very flickering. Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam. Chanchalam, restless, astiram. It's not steady. Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam astiram. Tatasato niyamnetat atmaneva vasam nayat. Now we need to keep that mind. We need to bring that mind and keep it under the control of ourself all the time. 24/7, the mind should be always at rest. It should not be jumping around. It should not be going anywhere. So how is that going to be possible? Then only we can be happy. If our mind is not with us, if our mind is restless, if our mind is going out everywhere, that means we are not happy. We need to be very careful. We need to understand this science very, very completely. We need to understand it fully. If our mind is not with us, if we are not able to keep the mind with us, when the senses are seeing a sense object, for example, the eyes are seeing a sense object. If the mind goes on that sense object, then what's going to happen? When the senses of course, they are interacting with the sense objects. We cannot stop. When we go out, when we are there, we cannot stop. We cannot close our eyes. That means we have to be blind. If we don't want to see anything, then we have to be blind. But senses are actually, they are going to engage. Indriyani indriyarthebhya. The senses will go after the sense objects. Indriyani indriyarthebhya. So indriyanam ki charatam. The senses are roaming. So that's what Indriyanam ki charatan. Indriyani Indriyartebhya. The senses are very strong. But if the mind goes after those sense objects, when we see something, if mind thinks about that sense object, that's where the problem starts. So, Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter, Yathato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramatini haranti prashabam manaha. So indriyani pramatini, the senses are very strong and impetuous. That haranti prashabam manaha, so it carries away the mind, it forcefully carries away the mind. So that way, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses. If you hear something, if mind thinks about that sense object, if we smell something, if mind thinks about that sense object, if you want to taste something, so if you want to touch something, if you want to see something, so all are sense objects in this material world, and all these sense objects are made up of matter. They're all made up of matter. The elements what you see in the periodic table. And our body is, of course, made up of matter. All, mostly carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. So, of course, all other elements are also there. It's very important. We need potassium, we need calcium, potassium, sodium. There is sodium, potassium, things are each and every cell, they need it actually. Otherwise, it won't work. So, all these elements are needed for our body to work. And the problem is actually, even the senses are also made up of matter. Our senses, the sense of seeing, it's also made up of matter. So the light comes, light hits the sense object, then it reflects, then it comes and it enters through our eyes, it goes through our, then it hits the retina, it goes through our pupil and it hits the retina, and then it goes to the brain, then we see the object, then we see the shape, color, everything we see. So there are different neurons are there. They are taking care of our the colors and other things, especially rods, the cones and rods, all sorts of things. They are all the photoreceptors basically. So we need to understand that everything is made up of sense objects. All these sense objects, senses, our body, all these things are made up of matter. But the soul, we are the soul. We are not the body. We are the soul. And the mind, intelligence, and ahankara, they are also subtle. They are also very subtle. So that means they are not completely made up of matter. They are very subtle, but they change. But the soul never changes. The soul is always the same. The soul is the para prakriti. But this earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intelligence, and ahankara, they are all apara prakriti. They are all inferior nature. So all these things we studied at length in the past. But we need to revise, we need to understand. So we need to understand that how our body, everything works, and how our mind is. So if our mind is going after those sense objects, so then what's going to happen? As soon as we see a sense object, if our mind thinks about that sense objects, then we are losing the control of our mind. So then that means the mind develops an attachment. So when the mind develops an attachment on those sense objects, then mind starts thinking about those sense objects. That means mind is not with us. That means mind is not peaceful. Because once you develop that attachment, then you want to enjoy. Then desire develops. The desire to enjoy those sense object comes. That's what? Sangha, Kama. So, Sangha, Kama, all those things. Dhyayato Visyan Pumsaga, Sangaste Supajayate, Sangat Sanjayate, Kama. Then from Kama, from such desires, then Krodha comes. Because anger comes. Because when we are attached to sense objects, we are not guaranteed to get all the sense objects and enjoy. And another thing, even in this material sense enjoyment also, when we enjoy it, it comes to an end. So then frustration comes. Because you cannot enjoy unlimitedly anything in this world. Everything is a flickering happiness. This bhagyasparsesu, this external material sense enjoyment, it's only as adyanta. It has got beginning and end, it's flickering. So then we are not satisfied. So then we are getting frustration. Then mind is getting agitated. So the mind is, so that's what Krodha comes. And if you don't get the sense objects also, then Krodha comes. So that's why anyone who is angry, he is attached to something. It is very highly scientific. If somebody is angry, that means that person is attached to some material sense objects. Definitely not to Krishna. If we are attached to Krishna, then anger won't come. Because kama itself won't come. Only prema comes. Only love towards Krishna will come. Bhakti will come. So from prema only bhakti comes. Love towards Krishna only will come. Devotion towards Krishna will come. From prema, bhakti. But from kama, krodha. So the krodha comes when anger comes. Then krodhat bhavati sammokha, sammokhat smriti vibhramaga, smriti bramshat buddhinaso, buddhinasat pranashyati. So from anger, delusion arises. From delusion, memory is bewildered. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, then buddhinasat pranashyati. Then we are ourselves are lost in this world. We are going to suffer. We are going to struggle. So that's what is happening with us in this material world. We are struggling and suffering in this temporary, miserable place. So that is the reality of our life. No schools and colleges, they teach this. They don't know it. Because this is the science. This is the king of science. This is the king of knowledge. This is the Raja Vidya. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, he can only give this knowledge to us. And he is directly teaching, directly giving this knowledge to us. And we are very, very fortunate. We are extremely fortunate that we are able to get this knowledge every day. We are able to study, understand all this knowledge. We are able to get this knowledge by Krishna's causeless mercy. So, in the 13th chapter, we finished 2 slokas. So, Arjuna asked a question in the first sloka and Krishna started replying, answering. So, what question Arjuna asked? Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnamev cha etatvedithum ichchami jnanam nyeyam cha kesava. Prakritim purusham chaiva. I want to know what is prakriti, purusha, kshetra, kshetrajna, jnana, nyeya. So immediately in the second sloka itself, Krishna answered what is kshetra and kshetrajna. So in the second sloka, of course, Krishna is going to elaborate on that actually. Krishna. So in the second sloka, what we studied yesterday, Shri Bhagavan Vacha idam sariram kaunteya kshetramiti abhidiyate etatyo vetitam prahugu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. Arjuna, idam sariram kaunteya, O son of Kunti, this sarira, this body is known as kshetra. Kshetra means the field of activities. So we are going to study, there are totally 24 elements which Krishna is going to explain. This kshetra, which is made up of 24 elements. So, in the field of activities, basically, about the kshetra. So, Krishna is saying that idam sariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidiyate. So, it is explained, it is understood that this sarira, this body is kshetra. Etatyo veti tam prahugu kshetrajna iti tadvitaga. So, those who knows, those who understands this kshetra, they are known as kshetrajna. So that means we know the kshetra, we know our kshetra, we know our body, our sarira. So that means we are kshetrajna. So etatyo veti tam prahugu kshetrajna iti tadvitaga. So now Krishna is continuing in the next sloka, sloka number 3 in the 13th chapter. Krishna is continuing. Sri Bhagavan, so already Sri Bhagavan Vacha in the second sloka itself, Krishna spoke. So Krishna is continuing in the 3rd sloka. Kshetrajnam nyapi mam vidhi, kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi, sarva kshetreshu bharata. Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yatta jnanam matham mama. That's what Krishna is teaching. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharat. So yesterday one devotee asked a question, what about Krishna? So Krishna is saying that Krishna is also a kshetrajna. So we are kshetrajna. So that means I know I am the kshetrajna of my body, my kshetra. My kshetra is my body. So I am the kshetrajna. I know about my body. What's happening in my body? If I feel hungry, only I feel it. So if I feel thirsty, only I feel it. You don't feel it. So that way I know about my body. So I am the kshetrajna. So that means the soul is the kshetrajna. Body is the kshetra. Body is the kshetra, soul is the kshetrajna. And super soul is also kshetrajna. But super soul, Krishna, he knows all the bodies. Sarva kshetresu. Sarva kshetresu means all the bodies. Sarva kshetresu bharata. So that way Krishna is the kshetrajna of all the bodies. Sarva kshetresu bharata. Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam. So anyone who knows about this body and the knower of this body, that means the field of activities and the knower of the field of activities, this field of activities, body and the knower of this body. So that is what is known as knowledge, jnana. So that's what kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam. Of course, Krishna is going to list in about 5 slokas what exactly is meaning by jnanam. We are going to study knowledge. Jnana means knowledge. So yatta jnanam matham mama. So that's what my opinion. So yatta jnanam. So kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam means one who understands about this body and the soul. That means one who understands about the kshetra and the kshetrajna. That means the field of activities and about the knower of the field of activities. So that is what is called knowledge. So we need to know that we are not the body, we are the soul, and we know that the soul knows about the body. So this knowledge, if we have this knowledge, so that means we are having knowledge. So that's what yattat jnanam. So that's what is known as jnanam, knowledge. Otherwise, if you don't know this, that means we don't have knowledge. If you don't know about soul, if a person doesn't even know about soul at all, so that means he has no knowledge. That's what is very important. So with Bhagavad Gita only, we are getting the knowledge. We are knowing that we are not the body, we are the soul. So that way, this is a supreme science, the most confidential knowledge. Krishna is teaching us this knowledge. So by Krishna's causeless mercy, with this knowledge, we will definitely go to Krishna's well. We will be freed from this material modes of nature. So by Krishna's mercy, we finished the 3rd sloka in the 13th chapter. Hare Krishna. I will stop now and we will discuss if any questions are there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Hare Krishna, all the devotees.